Hello, my name is Kathy Jameson, the Proposition Lady, and I'm here to help you understand your 2024 California state propositions. Today I'm going to talk about Proposition 3, the Right to Marry and Repeal Proposition 8 Amendment. If passed, Prop 3 will make two changes to the California Constitution. It will repeal Prop 8, a 2008 constitutional amendment that defined marriage as between one man and one woman, and it will declare that a right to marry is a fundamental right for couples regardless of gender. Prop 3 falls under the category of easy to decide, since most people know where they stand on same-sex marriage. If you're in favor, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. But why is it on the ballot if same-sex marriage is already legal? In order to understand why the right to same-sex marriage could be in jeopardy, let's review the history of how it became legal in the first place. Today's young people have a more fluid definition of sexuality than previous generations. But for the majority of our country's history, you were either straight or you weren't. And if you weren't, you had trouble. Gay people were not only shunned by their friends and family, they lost their jobs. They were often arrested and sometimes imprisoned. Never mind gay marriage. It wasn't even legal to be gay, which is why previous generations of gay people tended to stay in the closet. Things changed in the decades following the Stonewall Uprising of 1969. More people came out of the closet. Gay and lesbian characters appeared in mainstream TV shows, and same-sex couples started lobbying for the right to get married. But the road to same-sex marriage was a bit bumpy. By 2004, the majority of Americans were still against it. Even those who were tolerant of gay and lesbian people were still uncomfortable with the idea of same-sex marriage. Marriage itself is a civic construct, administered by the government of each state. Civic institutions regulate things like taxes, inheritance, divorce, and child custody. But it also has a religious aspect, in which marriage is defined by Scripture. And even though freedom of religion is the first right defined in the U.S. Constitution's Bill of Rights, many people in the United States believe that the civic institution of marriage should be governed by Christian principles. In 2004, a young Gavin Newsom decided to challenge that. At that time, Governor Newsom was the mayor of San Francisco. For one crazy month, he allowed City Hall officials to issue same-sex marriage licenses. But city mayors have no authority to change state laws, so the California Supreme Court invalidated those licenses. But those couples sued the state for the right to marry. And in June of 2008, the California Supreme Court ruled in their favor, citing the Equal Protection Clause of the California Constitution. And with that, gay marriage became legal in California for about 5 months. In November of 2008, 52% of voters passed Prop 8, which amended the Constitution to define marriage as between one man and one woman. This made same-sex unions illegal again, and put all the same-sex couples who had married since June into legal limbo. This might be a good time to discuss how civic regulations affect married couples at the state and federal levels. If a couple was married in California, they would file their state tax return jointly. But because marriage was not legal under federal law, they would have to file their United States tax returns separately. Very confusing. In addition, couples who were legally wed at the state level were not eligible for federal benefits. They could not sponsor their spouse for immigration benefits. If one partner was injured in another state, the other could be denied visitation. If one partner died, the other partner would not be eligible for Social Security benefits, and the surviving partner did not automatically inherit their house. Instead, they were forced to pay estate taxes. This is what drove Edie Windsor to sue the federal government in 2012. Edie and her partner of 40 years, Taya, lived in New York and were married in Canada. When Taya passed away, the federal government did not recognize their marriage. So instead of Taya's property transferring to Edie automatically, Edie was treated as a stranger instead of a spouse and had to pay estate taxes. The case went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, who ruled in June of 2013 that the Defense of Marriage Act was unconstitutional and that the federal government cannot discriminate against married same-sex couples for the purpose of determining federal benefits and protections. The Windsor decision not only invalidated marriage discrimination at the federal level, it also extended to discrimination at the state level. This meant that laws like Prop 8 could no longer be enforced. But it doesn't mean those laws went away. When the Supreme Court rules against a set of laws, it's like they put a lock on the law. Prop 8 still exists in the California Constitution, but it can't be used. If the current U.S. Supreme Court hears a new case that challenges the 2013 decision, the current court could interpret the U.S. Constitution differently and overturn Windsor. If Windsor is overturned, the new Supreme Court essentially unlocks the door to Prop 8, allowing it to go into effect once more. This is what happened with abortion rights. In 2022, the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade with the Dobbs case, eliminating abortion rights at the federal level and turning it over to the states. So it's not necessarily far-fetched to think that marriage rights for same-sex couples could also be overturned. That's why California Assembly member Evan Lowe sponsored a bill to bring Proposition 3 to the ballot. If marriage rights are overturned at the federal level, same-sex couples will lose all of the federal protections they currently enjoy. There's nothing we can do about that. But if Prop 3 passes, those couples will at least keep the states' rights they have now. At the time of this recording in July, no money has been raised in support or opposition of Prop 3. Before I go, I feel it's important to say that my ability to present a fair and balanced presentation of Prop 3 is compromised. As part of a legally married same-sex couple, I am unable to open my mind to the argument that my marriage has less value than anyone else's. Since my mission is to present both sides of the issues equally, I regret my bias in favor of Prop 3. I can only acknowledge it and move on to the next one. I'm Kathy Jameson, the Proposition Lady, and I appreciate you being here with me today. See you soon, California voters. Bye now.